Assalamu alaikum, Omar.
Alaikum salam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
How you doing, man?
Good, alhamdulillah, alhamdulillah.
I can
Good
see
to see
you.
you again, man. Alhamdulillah.
Alhamdulillah, you too. Likewise, I can see you on the road again as always.
Bro, brother.
Where you where
Alhamdulillah.
where are you off to today?
Headed to Georgia today, man. Headed to
Mashallah.
Georgia.
The road
Hopefully
Musaf.
headed back to Gambia soon, inshallah.
Inshallah,
And
inshallah,
drop that.
inshallah, inshallah, inshallah. So obviously this topic what we've been discussing about for a while now. And I think it's something that we both always touch on at different times, especially when it comes to building wealth or building
Yes.
business and whatnot. And so obviously today we decided to actually really talk about it on here and just generally just have a discussion about it, our perception and how we see it compared to obviously what's been pushed out there by the gurus and stuff. So yeah,
It was a
obviously,
culture regarding this issue, huge culture. And
well,
a lot of
the
Muslims are
riba,
even falling into it.
unfortunately, well, this issue of riba and building wealth, yeah, I don't think it's much discussed. You know what I mean? When it comes to entrepreneurial space, because a lot of the time, obviously, you see, obviously, this person will share the story on how they build his business, and it sounds very nice, right? Especially when it comes to non-Muslims, it sounds very nice, and you think, wow, mashallah, he really did this. But behind the scene, or sometimes they mention it themselves. Obviously, as a Muslim, when you compare yourself to them, right, the ways in which they use to build these things, these are not suitable ways for a Muslim, you know. And obviously, hence
Great.
today we really want to talk about this and kind of discuss some practical ways in which one could go about doing this, and also, um, yeah, go ahead, dive a bit more into that topic. So, welcome to the
Inshallah.
episode. Welcome to this episode on the topic of Riba Millionaire. So, Omar, I'll say you should start first. Yeah, go for it.
Bismillah, alhamdulillah, wa salatu wa salam ala rasulillah. This is something, number one, as you mentioned, many people, even on their channels, they've spoken about this number of times. We hear some people talking about how they've actually maxed out their credit cards, etc., to build their businesses. Or we hear people taking out loans. You hear people talking about building business credit, which is very well known in this day and age.
Yeah,
Back in the day, it was very difficult to take out loans for just ordinary businesses. People were taking out loans for real estate, but now it's becoming even more prevalent today where people are actually taking out loans for businesses, multiple types of businesses, especially if you can prove that you have some sort of revenue or profit that's being generated, you can easily take out a loan. You and I have seen in
yeah,
Stripe accounts, how we can easily just press a button and get 10, 20,000 sent
yeah,
to your account just like that.
yeah.
As long as you're willing to pay the Riba, you're good to go.
You're good to go. Yeah,
And this is how we find many people actually building their businesses like this. And we know that this is quite the opposite in regards to how a Muslim should be building their wealth. It's the complete opposite. Whereas a Muslim focuses on giving value and creating profits based on that, and creating real value. Whereas Riba is literally the money, just making money off of money. You understand? From the standpoint of if a person loans you, and this is the type of Riba I'm speaking about here, is the one that many of the scholars speak about there being no difference of opinion in this specific type of Riba, where money is being loaned. Say, for example, you loan somebody $20, and that person even has to give you back $21. This is Riba. This is a clear form of Riba, and many scholars say there's no difference of opinion in regards to this type of Riba, right? And Allah knows best. Um, so when you see wealth being built in this way, sometimes I look at this and I say, SubhanAllah, it's like you and I have always mentioned, you should never be envious of a person just because you think they have that appearance of wealth, because you don't know what they did to get that money. A person that just looks like they have money, or even if they have money, let's say, for example, they can show you their account and it has $1 million in it or 2 million. Don't be envious of the person. Why? Because you don't know what they did to acquire that money. You don't know what they did.
Yeah.
And we know that there's all sorts of impermissible things that many people among non-Muslims they engage in. And so we as Muslims, we have to be conscious and vigilant regarding how we choose to build our businesses. Inshallah, and I'll let you touch down a little bit further on this because you and I have touched on this many times to the point where we said we got to do an episode on this. Inshallah.
Yeah, yeah, no, you're right. You know, you got some good points there because when you think about if you look at people like Alex Hormozy, I think our Alex Hormozy, one of his video he mentioned actually while building his business at a very early stage, there was a point where he literally maxed out his credit card. And obviously these are not suitable ways for Muslims, you know. Because when it comes to loan, I'll be honest with you, when it comes to loan, pretty much most people can get loan. You are, if you position
Easy.
yourself right with your credit score and whatnot, you pretty much can get a decent amount of loan of a higher amount. You know, I mean, 100K or whatever. You know, to start your business. You know, I don't really know how much
100%.
loan works much because I'm not really into that world, but from my experience of a number of time being offered the option opportunity to get 200K loan and all of that by banks because obviously they see how much you're earning. That low exposure that made me realize how easy it was to get loan if you actually want to get loan.
It's very easy.
So obviously when a person is starting a business, the very early stage, you know, these are one of the common ways in which most non-Muslims use taking loans or maxing out credit card. That's the common one, credit cards. And
It's a common one.
unfortunately, you do actually have a lot of Muslims that do fall into this. See, some people may think that, oh, because I'm not going to ask the bank to borrow me money, I'm not really looking at it as loan. I'm using my credit card. Well, already that person was already using credit card as a Muslim, which we understand generally credit card is not permissible. You need to know that you're not going to fall into that debt and you're going to pay way within the time. But the fact that you've agreed that you're happy to pay interest, that itself, you know, is what some of the scholars base you on to say that it's not permissible. So anyway, that's a different topic. But some Muslims, just the fact that they already have that credit card, well, I'm more they see as it's okay. I can max out my credit card to build this business. Basically, you build a business, you've built the business on riba, you built it on haram grounds, and that unfortunately, that pitfall is what a lot of Muslims do fall into. You know, just like what these guys will do. You know, if you look at the likes of Patrick David, for example, of these
His
guys,
whole business model.
they build their wealth on riba, and these are not people to idolize. Of course, you can take certain lessons from these people. You know,
Right.
to kind of like motivate yourself in building your business. You know, like someone like Alex Homozy, it's alhamdulillah, he's got a lot of knowledge in terms of lead gen and just generally business, right?
Yes.
But obviously, one shouldn't you know compare themselves and say, well, he did this in X amount of time, I can too, or you can too, but understand and prepare that you're not going to follow the way that he did it by maxing out your credit card, and your path is going to be more challenging than him, and you have to be more creative and strategic in terms of how you can get that sort of funds to even start instead of using credit card or loan where you have to pay ribbon. These are things. See, these are some of the things. Grant Cardone, for example, again, good guy, knows what he's doing, very successful, but the bottom of it, these businesses have been built on riba. I'll give example. One of the ventures that I was involved in, which was M&A, partner that I was working with, one of the challenge that obviously as Muslim, what we were facing at that time was most guys in that space, right? They will use financing to buy this business on a leverage buyout, right? Where they can
Yeah, it's very common on level files.
easily get loan from the bank. But as a Muslim, you can't. As a Muslim, you can't. So therefore, you have to be a bit more strategic, creative, some sort of bringing in your network of people together to put money together to finance a business and trying to negotiate on a leverage buyout, which alhamdulillah we actually did bought a company on similar strategy, especially yourself and myself in the past. Um, but again, Without this, as a Muslim, it's challenging, and this is something that we always have to take in consideration when we're trying to build these businesses and whatnot. And understand, obviously, these people, the method that they use is not really the ethical method for a Muslim. This is my take on this, how easy a lot of Muslims fall into this. And it's easier, as a Muslim, it's better for you to put together a few network of people who believe in your vision. Yeah, put money together to support this venture or to support this path that you started, this business, or try and, start the business and grow it organically. And so it has some sort of traction. Then it will be easier to attract investors who believe in it because they can see some sort of action. They can see business is working, it's in motion. Some people believe when they see it, and some people